Yes, thank you, Maria. I will just very briefly give you an update of the situation and acknowledge the progress made by the project over the last, I would say, well, it's a year and 3 months, 15 months, with the great progress made on the mostly the connectivity. So we are glad to see the evolution, and we are looking forward for completion of the network. We are also very interested to see how users can make use of this infrastructure, and welcome this event as a key triggering event for stimulating the usage of the infrastructure. There are some communities represented, and welcome to them, and thanks for joining this conference. Please push the limit of the infrastructure, because this is the only way to keep our nice NRNs colleagues awake and having the best infrastructure in the world. Also one of the best connected infrastructure globally, because EaPEC is one of the elements of a full portfolio of projects that also connects Central Asia, and I think Karen is represented also today. So Central Asia, Southeast Asia, Mediterranean countries, Sub-Saharan Africa with Africa Connect, as well as Latin America. We just had meetings yesterday, and we'll have another one tomorrow with relation to the establishment of a very big capacity for research education in the form of submarine cables toward Latin America. So that's the context where we are, where users are at the center of attention in many aspects. It's of course the network. This is the first thing any user encounter when he or she interact with informatics. So the networks has to be both going in all areas and offer the wide capacity that is needed. And then we can extend that to the computing capacity in various forms. It can be a local data center, it can be remote data center, it can be supercomputing center, it can be commercial resources from cloud providers. There is the important element in relation to identity management, making sure users are recognized and access to those resources are granted on an individual basis, and in the form of federation of identity management, because we are dealing with many identity providers and institutions tapping on these resources. Data is also very important. How data sets can be, of course, accessed, but also exchanged among different disciplines, ensuring the right metadata associated to it. So it's a very important policy area where we are funding, for instance, the Research Data Alliance that aims at ensuring the right combination and exchange of scientific data among disciplines and standardizations. It's also about accessing research results, not only scientific paper, but also also research data. So these are some examples of projects that are changing the way science is done today in Europe, but also in all countries in the world. We expect that this project, EaPEC Connect, is a transformational project for for the scientific communities by bringing state-of-the-art communication networks, but also the right gluing instruments in the form of EduROM for the Wi-Fi roaming, moving around for students and researchers from one university to another one without having to worry about credentials and access. And also, as I mentioned already, the capacity to access to content across institutions through identity management and federated identity management. This is also concerning, I would say, upper layers, so how to make sure scientific capacity, computing capacity can be made accessible for researchers. There is a huge demand for infrastructure as a service. Géant did a public procurement for that over the summer. Today we have so-called framework contracts with a dozen of commercial providers with very high-speed peering with some specific requirements for the research entities like security. I mentioned that identity management, integrated identity management, data protection regulation, data location or location of the data. This is a very important step forward for commodity computing and storage resources. And as far as I can see the gap to connect, I think it makes a lot of sense that the region, the researchers and the NRNs of the region, the 6 countries, start tapping into these framework contracts and start prototyping the next revolution, which will be very affordable, a vast amount of computing and storage resources. So if we consider the question of eligibility for the project, this will be, I have no doubt, fully in line. And I took again a look at the technical annex, and if you look at this, you will find the right eligibility text. So please use this capacity as well as the other elements of the contracts, the connectivity. Of course, we want to reach the main sample points, the capitals, and then connect to the National Research and Education Network. So it's an international connectivity question. Aggregating the demand will also be important. That's why we have this project. Instead of having multiple bilateral connections, we will have we will combine them, and we are building a network with this aggregated demand. Is the same for also cloud access. Right. So you are today and tomorrow going to discuss the usage and how to best use this infrastructure as well as others computing and storage resources. Please push the limits. The message for the colleagues in charge of the project, so Maria and the teams, as well as the advisors, so Arthur, Raimondas, Eric, and by the way, thanks for all of them for their very important contribution to advising and supporting both Géant and the NRN from the countries. So the next steps will be, from a policy point of view, there will be a number of events for the platform 4, which is the people-to-people policy instruments triggering this action. There will be some updates and a participation from DG Connect to regular meetings. There will be also a more precise, more specialized instrument, which is the panel for research, which is established by our colleague of DG Research, which will take place in December. We will attend, but this is also an occasion to discuss with Ministry of Research, which are important stakeholders in this meeting. We are in good contact with our colleague from DG NIR. You may have heard this morning the director in charge and his message. I'm pretty sure he has discussed the next Eastern Partnership Summit. So it will be a very important occasion for the project, for the dissemination of the project to support this Eastern Partnership Summit. in many forms, including performance of arts or remote performance of art. So Maria, I'm sure you will have interesting discussion with the engineer and Enrique on this question. Ultimately, the main point is that users and researchers are making use of this infrastructure on one hand. On the other hand, and thanks to this usage and demand, NRNs should be in position to ensure sustainable future connecting to Géant, which itself requires political discussion or policy discussion with funders, notably Academy of Science as well as the Ministry of Research and Education. So we are expecting that this dialogue will start quite soon because the project has at hand. So it will be very important that this discussion occurs at national level, potentially supported by the colleagues from Géant. So that's in a nutshell the update from DG Connect side. Please continue the good work. You are in good hands. Please continue to liaise also with the delegations because there are important ingredients for liaising up with some part of the institution. With that, I will leave the floor to you guys. I would also have to say that Enrique, that is close to me, will take over from now on these projects, so supporting the engineer. And please welcome him. And maybe you want to say one little word.
Thank you very much, Jean-Luc. Indeed, I'm taking over all the files from Jean-Luc and with Gian and all the surrounding projects. So I'm very excited about this new adventure. I would add to everything that Jean-Luc has already mentioned that the dimension and importance of the Gian community. I mean, Gian is not just another operator. I've been able to see and feel what is the power and the value that this community is bringing to the research and education. So again, please make good use of that one. And with that, again, thanks for the welcome. And looking forward to work with you. Thank you.